A new documentary looming all about Hollywood's brightest star, none other than Marilyn Monroe, and it's coming to Netflix. But just how true are those stories? Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the very heart of London. Nice to have your company today. Hope you're all keeping well, fine and dandy. Yes, you, I'm talking to you. Yes, you, wake up. I know many of you getting up, many of you going to bed. I know what it's like. I feel I'm always in between, never quite awake, never quite asleep. Do you know that feeling, don't you? Someone said to me a while ago, and it's so true this, they said, you know what, Neil, I feel more tired when I wake up than I do when I'm going to bed. And I thought, that's a weird statement. Then you think, actually, I know the feeling. Are you like that? Yes, I know. We all are, aren't we, dearie? But anyway, back of course to your breaking entertainment story of the day. The particular story centres on a brand new documentary coming to Netflix, and it's been put together by a very respected writer, Anthony Summers. He's the man who published the book way back in 1985 called Goddess. It was a rather revealing portrait of the late actress Marilyn Monroe, who died way back in August 1962, and there were all these sort of speculations as to who she was involved with, who she wasn't, that sort of stuff. And it's interesting, isn't it, when you look at these big documentaries, because he has hours and hours of interviews with people who knew the actress, was associated with her and worked with her. Now, I can only tell you from my perspective, because I've known many people that I've interviewed about Marilyn myself too, including Jack Lemmon's son Chris, who told me a rather revealing aspect of his time there. He told me that he knew her well. Obviously he was very young at the time, but he didn't see her as a sort of character that would have committed suicide. It simply wasn't in her nature. And also, it's interesting to note, when you look back at some of these interviews, I was lucky enough to spend time with the celebrated jazz pianist and performer Buddy Greco. Buddy was a huge star way back in the 60s, and he told me a wonderful story. Now, just take notice of this because it's really important. He is the last person to be pictured in public with Marilyn on the final interview. Now just take notice of this because Buddy was the last person to be pictured with Marilyn on the last weekend that she was alive, which was out in Las Vegas. And he said, look, she was in good spirits, a little bit dejected about the way she'd been treated by Jack and Bobby Kennedy, but nonetheless knew all about life's hard knocks. And then we had Debbie Reynolds, who told me this. She said, look, Marilyn knew exactly the game she was playing, but she sometimes did like to play the victim. Of course, it got her a lot of sympathy. That was a story that I heard time and time again. What's interesting also when you look at the bigger picture is, as I say, I met people like Dean Martin's son, Mickey Rooney, Elizabeth Taylor, all of these wonderful stars that all shared those intimate moments of knowing Marilyn. But did we truly know what she was like, or was she, as everybody says, a bit of an enigma? Well, according to Mickey Rooney, she presented whatever story that she felt suited the narrative in that particular moment, whether it be victim, sex symbol, great fun girl, shy retiring, whatever, she could suit the mood. And of course, that particular side of Marilyn doesn't really get played out that much. Mickey's take on it was that she simply got too many tablets, took too many tablets that night, and then wasn't rescued in time. The theory goes in this particular Netflix documentary is that she died, they placed her back in the ambulance and took her back to her house. There is still one person alive today that could tell the real story of Marilyn's last hours. She spent the final weekend with her, and that is her former publicist called Pat Newcomb. Yes, still alive. But sadly, Pat never really gives interviews to anyone, or hasn't ever since that particular day. And she went on to have a stellar career, in fact, working for the Kennedys themselves. Make of that what you will. And also, she then became the publicist for another celebrated icon, Barbra Streisand. Now, this brand new Netflix documentary claims that it will shed a major light on exactly what happened on that fateful night on the 4th of August 1962. What I would say to you is, having met and interviewed and spoken with so many people regarding this celebrated actress, I truly think, nearly 60 years later, seriously, nobody knows the true story about what happened that night to Marilyn Monroe. Was it a cover-up or a simple accident? Have Netflix and you've still subscribed, I would suggest that you check it out. If not, look out on some of the tidbits and clips that come up on YouTube. If you like your stars golden, was there anybody bigger than Marilyn Monroe? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.